Okay, let's start off. Hi everyone. I think you're all esports fans here. Thanks for coming to the panel discussion here. We have a fantastic set of speakers lined up for you all to give us insights from across the globe. And rather than talking about them one by one, let me just let them talk about themselves straight up. So, Mickael, can you go on first and let us know what's happening at Mineski and in Southeast Asia in your world?
Hi everyone, Mickael here. So I guess I'll go first. So I'm here as the head of partnership for Mineski, and Mineski has been existing in Southeast Asia since 2003 when it started as a Dota team. And now as part of Mineski, we handle pretty much a lot of things around gaming. Will it be like professional league, like the first franchise league in Asia with Mobile Legends in Indonesia, to arena events, even team consultancy where we're working with some big companies to handle the team and the managers for them. Also digital campaign for brands, influencers, pretty much everything around gaming within the Southeast Asia region, as long as it's not game publishing. We don't do game publishing.
Sounds good. So, Sebastian, over to you now.
Okay, so hello, I'm Sebastian. I'm the founder of TwogNation. We're an esports holding company out of Europe, but I'm in esports for about 20 years now. And in 2017, I founded a company to tackle issues that I found very pressing in the industry. We have our own agency, we have our own platform, we have here locally also a very tech-heavy hub where we self-develop co-working space and everything. And one of our main branches is 2G Tech. So what we do essentially is we're tackling all the technical issues in esports, which goes down to how to improve your revenues, how to discover new revenues, how to enter esports within a very, very short amount of time. We can build massive platforms in like a week or two. We focus also on how to competitify or esportsify, for example, new titles, explore new regions. So that's what I've been doing over the last 20 years. Just now I do it in a very technical sense. So everyone that thinks esports and thinks technologies and tools, that's pretty much the go-to place.
Fantastic. Saad, over to you. What's happening in Middle East?
Good afternoon, guys. This is Saad, founder of Gamers Hub Middle East. So we are about 3 years old in this business, a pretty young company when it comes to gaming and esports. We've seen a huge opportunity in this region, and we have started off actually at a very grassroots level. We started a lot of, so Gamers Hub Middle East obviously is all about organizing tournaments. So we started off with grassroots level tournaments on cafes, which are a lot of cafes in the Middle East region. Then we went and we did activations in retail, and then we went and did partnership with Insomnia UK. So we've climbed up the ladder. In the meanwhile, what we have done is we are very dependent on doing curated events for our sponsors. For example, HP, Lenovo, Dell, and we have recently in 2020 have signed up BMW as one of our key sponsors. And going forward, 2021 is going to be 1 year of BMW, which is going to be very, very strong entrance in this market for MENA region. So we're going to run a lot of online tournament for them, a lot of podcasts, a lot of academies. We also are going to be launching as Gamers Hub a technology platform with AI, ML, and game analytics, which should be coming in by the end of this year or first week of Jan. We also have about 3 studios, professional studios for running content here.
Wow.
I can say a lot more, but I'll keep it short.
Sure. Over to you, Allan. So AirAsia to now EVOS Esports, right?
Yes,
Could
hi
you quickly
everyone.
talk?
Sure. Hi everyone. Afternoon. I'm Allan. I used to work in AirAsia, the airlines handling esports, and now I'm in EVOS Esports, handling regional marketing and public relations. In EVOS Esports, we manage esports teams across Southeast Asia. We raised US 16.4 million to date in funding, Series A and B. We have 160 gaming influencers across the region, with 64 million YouTube subscribers, 62 million Instagram followers, and 350 million views per month across all channels. We provide our talents with streaming contracts, digital rights management, social media management, creator collaborations, etc. We work with big brands such as Visa, X, the men's grooming, Lazada, the e-commerce arm under Alibaba Group, and PopMe, Instant Noodles, and J&T Express Logistics. So happy to be on a panel. I've actually worked in India for about 6 months in Bangalore last time when I
Very
was
good.
in the airlines. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I'll go in the same order and pick your brains a bit about the trends that you're seeing across the globe, or especially in your region. Mickael, let's start with you. Can you name one trend that's suddenly happening in the last 1-2 years, either because of COVID or a bit before COVID as well?
Well, if we're talking at before COVID, I think for Southeast Asia, and Allan would agree with me, the one trend we could name would be called mobile, right? Esports in Southeast Asia before like 2018, 2017 was always to be like cafe based, which you know very well at Mineski since you have like around 200 cafe nowadays, and all like has a big tournament happening once in a while, right? And then suddenly the 4G revolution happened. Pretty much every telco in Asia had the 4G. And then we got the Chinese smartphone for around 100 USD, which means like a lot of people could not afford to have like this entertainment center within the palm of their hands. And now you end up with leagues and tournaments where you have like millions of concurrent viewers just happening within one country. So it's actually like, you've seen the numbers from ESC and all this like tracking numbers website happening. So I would say one trend is mobile. Then if you ask a new trend after COVID, I mean, I would say COVID, the only impact COVID had is it forced us to, for example, change some of our businesses. Like, of course, cafe business suffered a lot during COVID, but for the esports business, pretty much every league we run, we can just run them online. It's, mobile first is quite easy to have players play from their team house and do remote broadcasting. I would say COVID hasn't changed much in the way our core business operates. Just, we've been much smarter in the terms of tech for production, enabling remote production, much smarter with brands on, the messaging around COVID, where it's not about marketing anymore, but about giving back to communities, giving back to hospital care workers and all these things like, across most of our countries in Southeast Asia.
Sure. So Sebastian, I think you have some unique things that you're building over the past 3-4 years. I don't know if COVID accelerated any of them, but could you tell us one or two trends that you have seen over the past 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, COVID, I mean, I really feel for all the guys that organize offline events, that operate LAN cafes, etc., because these are really the ones that suffer under COVID-19. But for the rest of the industry, which I think is probably a good 70%, we're actually benefiting from it. I mean, the bottom line really is positive for me. For most of the Western countries where I guess my main business is, in February, the lockdown started, and ever since we probably had like 2 figures of football clubs, leagues, various other sports entities talking to us. We had telcos, fintechs, everyone that was in one form or another bound to one industry that got shut down. They explored esports as an alternative. And that also showed me, I mean, look, I've been doing non-endemic work for 10, 15 years, right? Bringing brands into esports, explaining them sometimes for a whole month. I brought brands like the Premier League, La Liga, Alibaba, for example, right? These are brands I brought into esports, and it takes mostly a year. Now with COVID-19, all of a sudden they had to choose this route to explore things within like a week, a month, maybe even shorter, and then even go into the execution. So this is something we have noticed with COVID-19 that's accelerating. But it's also those that had a split business model. So for example, teams, right? Half of their business is, I would say, around media, sponsorships, and their online and digital assets. But a lot of other things were also based on leagues, offline events, may it be prize pools and sponsorships that are attached to it. So even the guys that are already in esports, they had to focus and double down on, for example, digital things. And that's, of course, where parts of my company comes in. How can we explore new revenue sources that haven't been there? Allan, for example, can tell probably long stories about it, that like the sports team model doesn't work out. You have to do more beyond that, a lot more with influencers and media and everything. So we build, for example, tools for it. But what COVID at the end of the day really does is not just bringing more people into it, but cut the time of consulting short. So when a football club comes to me, by the time they come to me, it's already, the building is already on fire, which means we need to act quickly. And within a week or two, we need to build them, like, for example, their own little hub where they can operate and bring their athletes, their influencers, and their sponsors onto something before they lose it. So this fear of missing out combined with the fear of COVID and the uncertainty when the original businesses come back. I mean, now we're looking at the winter in the Northern Hemisphere. A second wave is coming, a second lockdown is coming. So this is not going away until next year, probably. So this is a very interesting time and probably a trend that is fully global. Nobody is really safe from that.
Okay. So Saad, over to you. What are those two unique trends that have sprung up of late? And I'm not just talking about NEOM. That's a huge controversy, right?
Yeah, so actually, luckily for us, I think Middle East region is a pretty new region for esports. So I think esports is the new sport here. Educating, sponsors and people, and especially the government about and the entire ecosystem of esports is very, very important. It has just picked up about a year and a half back. We can see a lot of people who are investing in this space. Like to add to Sebastian's point, I mean, cafe especially, right, has been heavily hit. Especially a lot of cafes have been closed down. But on the organizer side, like us and tournament organizer, I think businesses has gone up because we've moved everything to online, and we have seen and we have educated a lot of brands as giving them new opportunities for ad campaigns and a new audience, a new customer base, in the esports scenario. And hence we have signed up, I would say, BMW, which we're educating regularly on. And we have a few new big brands coming up in this region for 2021 also, or non-endemic. So obviously not the technology firms. But Dell has been very, very strong with us. HP has been strong. Intel has been strong. Lenovo has been strong with us all along. What we're also seeing here is a lot of teams are getting formed. And that's only being formed because we are being able to provide consistent tournaments. And when consistent tournaments are being given to players, then you're able to see at a grassroots level, that there are certain teams who have got potential for different games, and that has never been there in this region. So we are quite behind. I would say we're about 3 years or 4 years behind, Europe, America, and India, where you guys are, right? So, but actually we're going to pick up very quickly in the next, I think 1.5 years will be pretty much up there. A lot of funding is available, which is good. There's a lot of so offline events are completely out. Online events are happening at the moment. But what we are seeing is sponsorships are also coming in for teams. I can see a few teams in Saudi and in UAE which are getting some prominence, and obviously they have to improve their skill sets, to come on the international scene, and that's what we provide. We provide, a consistent tournament organization which gives you a lot of brand spending and money, and we're helping teams to grow. So that's the change we're seeing. Over to you, Allan.
One small question before you sign off, Saad.
Yeah.
So how involved is the government or the countries and the governments in Middle East?
I'm not supposed to say that.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, in all fact of the matter, I think they're getting organized themselves, but there's no esports committee or body here at the moment.
Okay.
So I think there's, as Sebastian knows this region better, there's a little bit of dispute of which region, which country takes lead, as whether it's Saudi, is it Abu Dhabi or Dubai, depending on who's going to actually understand the esports ecosystem. So at the moment, there's no, except for Saudi, there's a company called, there's a body called Safis, which is quite organized in terms of running tournaments. But Abu Dhabi and Dubai and UAE have not yet, not elevated to that point. But inshallah, we should be helping them. We're working very closely with them on educating them how to make it more organized, for everybody.
Okay, fantastic. So, Allan, I think EVOS's journey has been very unique, and you did mention some big numbers in millions, right? So, can you quickly help us understand what is this phenomena, especially Southeast Asia? I think esports, it's become bigger than anything else out there, right? It's probably bigger than any other sport in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, just as what Mickael was sharing earlier, in Southeast Asia, the trend is definitely mobile. We've seen a rise of mobile players and mobile esports tournaments. Even though in the US or Europe, mobile is not that popular yet, but Southeast Asia is booming. And some of the popular games are, for example, PUBG Mobile, Free Fire, Mobile Legends, and now you even have Wild Rift, the new League of Legends in mobile format, coming in. So definitely mobile is picking up. Also, like what Sebastian mentioned, a lot of non-endemic brands are coming to the space due to COVID especially. They are shifting their marketing budgets from offline or on ground over to online. And they realize where's the most crowd, the community. And they see the esports community is all, the gamers all packed at home, watching events, live events, playing among their friends, and they want to be part of the action. So definitely see a lot of interest. They're more open to it right now, especially non-endemic traditional brands. Even like Visa just came in this year with us, and even Lazada, big e-commerce brand as well. So yeah, by next year we definitely see more non-endemic brands entering the space.
Okay. So there is a follow-up question to Sebastian, but let me put it first to you. So you have a lot of brands paying you money. That's a monetization source. So what else is the monetization source for a team, Allan?
Mostly either brand endorsement deals, sponsorships, as well as ad hoc activations, brand ambassadorship, and also our talents. They have their own YouTube channels. They earn monetization from there. We help set it up for them. We've had people managing it for them as well. And now even TikTok is blowing up, putting short form content as well. So our TikTok numbers blew through the roof last quarter, quarter on quarter, over 1,000%. So yeah, it's really exciting times for the scene in Southeast Asia.
Sure. So, Sebastian, there's a question from one of our audience, Vasu, saying, may I know the revenue of esports based on platforms? So, let me not go into that specific question right away, but can you help us understand what are the revenue sources for esports in general, and how do you enable more channels of monetization or growing revenues and stuff, Sebastian?
Yeah, honestly, this is one of my things. Like people that follow me on LinkedIn or conferences and everything, I've been probably talking for the last 10 years that we desperately need to explore more revenue sources in esports, because the problem is we handle it right now, especially teams, purely through the sponsorship level. As you might know, worldwide, for example, ad revenues through banners and anything that you put on digital assets is really reduced. May that be on your Twitch, on your YouTube, but the same way with any website that you own, right? So in light of that, I would say esports is really heavily relying on sponsors, and we're at their mercy. That means we're also very susceptible to fluctuations in that industry. If the economy goes up or down, if there's any regulations whatsoever, companies really go bankrupt over such things. So one of the things we're doing is trying to explore more revenue sources, which might be based, for example, grassroots. I do believe that we're not tapping enough into the grassroots source because that's where a lot of capital is. But right now we only do this through, for example, merchandise and everything. However, merchandise is only as strong as the brand behind it, right? Buying an Adidas or a Puma or anything is a no-brainer. But would you buy, for example, an EVOS shirt, you got to be a really hardcore fan. So Allan's job is making hardcore fans to actually buy that. However, not every team is like 10 years old or massive marketing budgets to actually make this happen. So long story short, the main revenues are for sponsorships, and we need to really work hard to make it better. We also need to give sponsors much better ways technologically to do it. So I give you an example. In sports, we're used to I call it always logo for cash, right? Someone comes, gives me money, and we put that logo on a jersey, on a broadcast, on an arena. It doesn't matter, right? We slash their logo somewhere, and then we report them back essentially the numbers of people that were there, people that watched, people that engaged. But the problem is we can't really in depth report them how many clicked, how many bought that product, how many people thought after that, oh, that sponsor is really cool, and maybe for the next years becomes a loyal customer, right? So what we do in TwogNation, we introduce tools for, I call it marketing 2.0, where we can actually tell the brands, yes, there were 50,000 people. By the way, 5,000 of them bought your product, 6,000 actually clicked on your Facebook or your Twitter and engaged. So we can give additional metrics on top. That's one of the things we can do to boost the existing revenues. But we're also building tools to get directly to the influencer. Right now, a streamer, for example, right? Player or not, it doesn't matter. He goes on Twitch. He has his sponsors, and he has that what Twitch gives him in donations and subscriptions and the CPM from the standard ad revenue. And there's nothing more. Sometimes you have little tools like Patreon, maybe OnlyFans, so little side tools, but it's just a small percentage. So we have a few things where we monetize chat. where we give directly gamers the tools to play with people, play against people, and such things, so they can integrate their audience much better, especially the grassroots. And that goes for teams, for tournament organizers, for single influencers. And I think this is where esports needs to double down. Because if we treat esports like sports, then we really lose out on opportunities. The reason esports is so cool is because we are like sports in many business models, but we have like 100 more opportunities on top. The problem is that a lot of people that are in power in esports, they know the business models from sports, they feel comfortable in the way we market there, and they're not yet willing to explore all these new opportunities. So that's my job, to show these new opportunities, build technology that enables that, and just show them that it's actually a cool thing to do. And then the revenue will prove me right over the years to come. I think that's one of the biggest tasks we have in esports, to get independent from these big names right now. It's good to have them, but it's good to not go bankrupt if they don't come for the next quarter, for example. That's, I think, the most important thing in esports right now.
Sure. I think a lot of our audience liked your answer. There are a lot of likes out there, those blue small icons on the bottom. So the same question, but with a twist to Mickael. So Mickael, you have seen SEA games, you have seen countries play, right, as opposed to just regular esports teams play it out or fight it out, right? So how's that journey? I mean, do we see that esports is like becoming a massive medal sport in Southeast Asia?
So yeah, we think the SEA Game, we're actually organizing the SEA Game for the final, doing the production and everything from Mineski. So we had a good look at what was happening, the SEA Game, and why it was happening. You have to see SEA Game in Southeast Asia, and all the other tournaments that are happening. We did with the Asian Games, also happening with the Federation in Asia, as something that is actually, I would say, in a way, helping the scene. In a sense, in Southeast Asia, having something as a SEA Game, where you have national representative able to win medals, it does give a sense of representation in esports who are, big conglomerate and key decision makers. Because finally, they also see esports, doing a long tradition of sports, and then companies and key decision makers are more enabled to justify their investment into something as esports. Now you can have more managers in company who have orders from the upper management to be able to do esports program. Why? Because esports happen at something like SEA Game where people actually, got medal. I believe in esports globally, being in Olympics or not being in Olympics has always been, like I would say, a touchy subject, with many people in the industry having, different vision about it. But from Asia, in a more pragmatic manner, even though the way people can qualify to SEA Games is sometimes very different than the way you run a professional league, or sometimes professional players cannot really participate in SEA Games because of regulations. It does help esports in the region to get a lot more legitimacy with key decision makers. It brings government and Ministry of Tourism on board. It has had quite a positive impact in the Southeast Asia landscape. But I would say that is very specific in Southeast Asia. Would the same tournament have a positive impact in Europe or America or Latin America? I would say that's another discussion.
Sure. So there are two questions that I would club and ask Saad and probably even Allan. So the question number one is, what are the most famous games in esports in your region? And two, because I'm also an Age of Empires guy from age old, 2003 to 2005, there is Ronit who's asked us, are there new tournaments coming up like Age of Empires and so on? So just, Saad, what are the popular games and what are the trends in terms of which new games or new tournaments are being asked by the community in Middle East, especially where you operate?
So I think the number one, I would say, game right now, which is obviously League of Legends in this region. You've got Fortnite. You've got FIFA. FIFA is very big in this region also. So these three, I would say, are the top three games. PUBG Mobile is big also. But obviously, we've seen a lot of people asking for Valorant, which is just a new game, which has been there right now. So we're seeing this is pretty much the main games, and then Dota 2 has been up and down. But Age of Empires, I don't think we've done anything on that at the moment, and we've Among Us is coming up very fast. That's been an ask. As you can see, it's come in the top 5, top 7 games in the world, right? So Amongst Us is coming up. So that's from the Middle East perspective. Yeah.
Sure. So, Allan, the same question to you.
Over here in Southeast Asia, it's a bit spread out. It's not like a one-size-fits-all due to culture. Example, when I go to conferences in the US, Europe, they keep talking about League of Legends, Overwatch, Fortnite. Those are popular in other parts of the world. But in Southeast Asia, you have like Mobile Legends, which is quite regional. You have, upcoming Among Us is not an esport, but then it's played by a lot of people, right? And then of course, you have the PC games like CS:GO and all that, which is still popular. But of course, overtaking it is mobile, like PUBG Mobile and Free Fire, really big over here, millions of views. And then, of course, in certain parts like Vietnam, you have League of Legends and AOV, Arena of Valor. And in Thailand, you have their version of Arena of Valor called Realm of Valor. So it's very sporadic. It's all spread out. And also due to language and also the support by the publishers. Yeah.
So recently I saw an article by your EVOS Esports saying you're the champions in Philippines, you're the champions in Indonesia, you're champions. So you have regional teams in each of these for the game?
Yeah. Oh yeah, not in
And
Philippines, but in Indonesia and in Thailand. We have also esports teams in Singapore and Malaysia.
okay. So let's say you wanted to win the global cup for some game. How do you do that? You pick the best of all these individual country contingents and like club them for a bigger tournament, or how does that work?
No, usually the publishers, they were locked down by regions. So last year we had a Singapore team and Indonesian team in the Mobile Legends World Finals, M1, and our Indonesian team ended up being the winner. And also same for Free Fire, we were the world champions last year as well, defeating the popular teams like from Brazil, etc. So yeah, it depends by region. So it's a bit interesting, unique for esports league system compared to traditional sports. Like Liverpool, you can only have one Liverpool, you can't have two, for example.
Sure. So in the best interest of time, I just wanted to hear one prediction for the future, right, from each of you. Maybe we'll start with Mickael. One prediction. What do you think will happen in the next 2 years?
Well, you have
In
me
esports,
start
of
with this
course.
one while everybody else has the time to think for a few more minutes, right? So I think one thing we'll see happening, I believe, in the future in Southeast Asia is, I would say, a way for people to connect even better through the mobile experience. We've gone all used to COVID, we've gone all used to be stick to a mobile. But right now, we're still missing, we Southeast Asian are very social creature. We're still missing, we always love to go to events, we always love even to pay in cafe with friends, which is, even with a mobile phone, is in cafe in this sense with the Starbucks coffee or the KFC or, whichever you like. And right now, because of all the COVID measure, is something that we all been missing. Because most of our country, unlike Europe and many parts of the world, have not been in lockdown for just 1 month. We've pretty much been in constant lockdown for the past 6 to 9 months. Allan can say in Malaysia, it's very hardcore still over there. So I think something that needs to emerge in a trend that we're really looking forward is people who are able to provide us with all virtual and meaningful experience, not through the mobile phone, not through PC, not through AR or VR, which require very expensive equipment, but really something like with the mobile where you can get connected with everyone and feel like you're still with your friend.
Okay. Sebastian?
Okay, this is a long list. For everyone that wants to, you can always follow me. At the end of every year, I'm making a prediction for the next year to come. That's something you can always find. I always write every year around Christmas an article for the next year. And then a year later, I always discuss how much of it became true. So just a few. First of all, esports is here to stay. That's a fact. Esports is there also to grow. Now, when it comes to regions, much like you have Allan here and Saad from 2 different regions, I'm operating in pretty much globally, but so I can observe each region. Those that have been considered behind, they will catch up, just not in the way we knew it from the Western world. They will not all of a sudden become a PC region. They will find new devices, such as mobile, for example. They compensate for those years they're behind. We will see more brands. We will definitely see more governments and regulations. That's bound to happen. We will be also getting a lot more political involvement in terms of global politics. You guys in India already have that, with India, China influencing actually real games with PUBG, for example. So this is something we have to be very aware of in the future and have an eye always open to it, because entire businesses might go down on this one. We definitely will be forced to innovate. COVID-19 showed us that, and we need to be ready for it to stand on more than one leg. I think we're also not safe from certain diversity issues. I think we need to diversify, both based on gender, based on race, based on region, languages, and everything. We have to unite as esports. We already do that organically, but I think we need to do a much better job and involve people. And we also need to fight the top to bottom trend. We're too top heavy right now. The brands always want to have the best of the best, neglect the grassroots. All the programs, the regional programs, they focus very much on leagues and always the best. But for me, the best is the rest. So we really need to do something, and that will come, because the top market is saturated. You have a lot of big names. They compete for time slots, for the favors of the publishers and everything. And that means the rest of the entrepreneurs, they will focus on the grassroots, and that's a very good development. Also in terms of games, a lot more games will try to be esports. A lot of them try to force it and will fail. A lot of them, they all of a sudden realize, oh, we actually have a game here and we never planned to be esports, but they will also need very quick consulting how to actually deal with esports, because many others had years and years of time to learn the esports business. Others are getting thrown in. Saad mentioned, for example, Among Us, right? A game that out of nowhere just gets popularity. They have like 6 months time to stump out an esports program. If they don't do it, they're going to die on that end. So these whole processes need to be sped up, and that will happen. We will
so Sebastian, I'll recommend all our users to follow you on LinkedIn. Otherwise, this list could go on and on.
Yeah.
Sorry to pause you there. Saad, any closing remarks? Anything about the trend? Something that you can predict?
I'll speak from the Middle East region perspective. Like I said, and Sebastian also pointed out, we are a little bit behind, but I can see a lot of teams coming up, and I can see that there'll be probably a minor or major which can be pulled off in the Middle East region also. We'll have a lot of competitive teams now moving on and maybe getting a slot on the international level. So that could happen in the next 2 or 3 years. The content is going to play a very important piece here. Mobile gaming is going to be a massive trend in this region also. So, the population, obviously, distribution between India and this region is way, way different, and other regions also, right? So we're not as populated as the rest of the world, but I think there will be maybe top 4 or 5 games which are going to be really very played consistently. Like, for example, will be FIFA, will be very strong. We have good players from FIFA here. We'll have League guys, you have Dota guys, you have CSGO guys, you've got Valorant guys. So all these teams will actually spur up and come on the international scene. So that's what we are looking at. And pretty much that, I think, from the Middle East perspective.
And Allan, so what's your prediction?
5G is a much talked about topic, so looking forward personally to 5G next year. And playing, sometimes you get lag and you get kicked out of the game, AFK. So looking forward to 5G being implemented. It would definitely even speed up esports in this part of the world. And people talk about cloud gaming globally, but I'm not sure, depending on the infrastructure. Most countries are not set up for that yet. So we'll see.
Sure. Guys, thank you very much. It's just that I would have loved to talk for another half an hour with you guys. It's just that I want to ask the Indian counterparts, your Indian counterparts, on what their thoughts are as well. So thank you for this wonderful panel. I think this will probably be one of the most viewed videos once we put it out there. A lot of eSport fans. We have almost 17 million fans in India now. So thank you for your valuable insights, and look forward to having you guys next year in person, hopefully at IGDC. Thank you again. Yeah,
Thanks
great.
for having us.
Thanks to all our audience as well. Thank you.